I'm Matt.
And I'm Rissa.
And we're here to coach you on how to have an exceptional life.
And what are we talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about generosity.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. Can I borrow $20?
Oh.
Today we're talking about generosity.
Mm-hmm.
What's generosity mean to you?
Generosity, giving time, attention, things freely, without expectation of return.
Yeah. I think that's a perfect definition of generosity, right? A lot of times it gets muddled with, I will give you X, Y, or Z, but it needs to be used in a specific way, right? I will give you $20 for food, but not if you use it on alcohol. Or conversely, I'll give you a birthday present because you gave me a birthday present, even though I didn't think you were going to give me a birthday present, but I can't not give you a birthday present now that we've established that we're doing presents. And all of those things, I think, get in the way of what I'm going to call true generosity. Not that it's the truth. Nothing I say is the truth. But I would say that true generosity is exactly as you said, right? It is giving freely with no expectation of reciprocation. So I give to you simply because I can. Or I choose to.
Yeah, so that would be pretty different from charity, because charity could have this expectation for who's getting the thing and how they're supposed to react and how grateful they're supposed to be. And
yeah, and certainly some charity is definitely inside of generosity, right? And oftentimes we conflate it with the good, the bad, the right, the wrong. This is a good charity. This is a bad charity. This is something that everybody should care about. This is more important than that one, etc. Yeah. Generosity can be shown in a number of ways, right? We can give time, attention, money, resources. There's a lot of ways that we can give of ourselves. And I think one of the things that a lot of us struggle with is some sort of thought that I can't, right? I don't have enough, or I won't be able to, or my contribution isn't enough. And, that's a great lead into a discussion about scarcity.
Definitely.
Because scarcity isn't real. Scarcity and abundance are concepts. They are ways of looking at the world. And when we look at the world from a scarcity mentality, it will naturally have us want to hoard resources. We've talked about the machinery in a number of these videos. The machine is going to want to conserve resources, the things that we need to survive. When we look at things as abundant and realize that there is sufficient of everything, and I can treat things like air or water, then it's a lot easier for us not only to give those things, but also be willing to accept those things when they show up. I do not think that, if Bill Gates and Warren Buffett sit down to go to lunch somewhere, they have a real big opinion on which one of them picks up the check.
Yeah, probably it doesn't matter.
No, because for them, money is an abundant, item.
And I think sometimes also it's tough receiving generosity in relationships because we don't want to feel in debt to someone. We don't want to feel like we've gotten behind on giving back to them. So we're keeping kind of a mental count of what we've done for each other.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of saying it. One of the things that I really try and encourage people to look at in relationships is that most of the time, the advice is that relationships are 50-50. You have to give and take equally. But that doesn't really work, right? I don't want to only give half of myself or whatever. And then they're like, okay. Relationships are 100-100. We both give fully of ourselves. But the problem with that is that we're still keeping score. I'm still watching you and asking, are you feels like about 92, 93%. Where's the rest of it coming? And anytime I'm paying attention to you on whether or not you're doing enough of your job, that's not me being in the relationship.
Yeah.
And so what I think works in relationships is that they're 100-0. I give 100% of myself to the relationship with zero expectation of anything coming back, right? And clearly, I'm not going to be in a relationship with somebody where I give everything I have and they literally pay zero attention to me.
Mm-hmm.
But as a concept, as a way of approaching things, it's pure generosity. It's pure freedom in the relationship, right? I don't have to do this thing because then you'll treat me the right way, right? It's simply, I do this thing because I want to, because it matters to me, because I think it might matter to you. And there's no burden upon you to do or to be anyway, which means that I can then accept you exactly as you are and exactly as you are not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really beautiful way to look at generosity in a relationship. That's not expecting returns or, someone to reciprocate.
Absolutely. And when you have two people who are willing to approach a relationship like that, things become incredibly easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it becomes very simple. And if I feel like there's something missing in a relationship, then I can have the conversation of, hey, I request this thing.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking more in this video about making big requests. So stay tuned to the end.
Yeah. So asking for what you want. Do you want to get into that now or later?
Let's do it later.
Later. Okay.
So we talked about generosity, and most people are pretty clear on the definition of generosity in some way, shape, or form, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is giving the things that I have to somebody else. But what gets missed in that definition of generosity is that it's only part of the equation, right? If you and I go out to lunch and we have an argument about who picks up the bill, then I'm like, no, you got it last time, let me get it. And you're like, no, I make more money than you, let me pay for it. We have this big back and forth where we're both trying to be generous to the other person. What we run into is a difficulty where nobody is being generous enough to receive freely.
Mm-hmm.
And generosity in its highest expression requires you to be able to receive freely, not just give freely.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where a lot of us fall down, I think. You have to be willing to accept a car ride or a lunch or an extravagant gift, because without that, nobody else can give.
Yeah.
And people think about how much they enjoy the feeling of giving the perfect gift or being there in that time of need.
Mm-hmm.
But they then forget when the script is flipped that they have to be willing to accept help from people when they're moving, or being willing to say, oh, thanks for getting the check, I really appreciate it, and just letting it go at that point.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I think a lot of people struggle with generosity.
Yep. That makes sense. So what is a way to get better at receiving generosity?
I think a big part of it is just simply practicing.
Mm-hmm.
And on the one hand, you can just practice it when it shows up. I always tell people, my mom always said, say no once, but never twice. But being able to ask for what you want and then be willing to accept it when it shows up is an incredibly powerful way to be able to go through life. It also helps us break the appearance of something being scarce or abundant, which again isn't real. You have what you have and you don't have what you don't have. That's it. That's not scarcity or abundance. Those are the interpretations of. There was a personal development course long before my time where one of the assignments was to, between the end of one day and the beginning of the next day, to get 10 no's. Mm-hmm. You had to go out and make requests. And these have to be requests for things that you actually want, right? You can't walk into a Maserati dealership and say, I'll take the blue one. And then, they said no, right? But one of the things I heard shared one time was woman lived in an apartment, knocked on her neighbor's door, and they knew each other, like, they'd seen each other in the halls. They weren't close friends. And she said, hey, I'm in this weekend-long thing, and I normally do my laundry on Sundays, and I'm not going to be able to because I'm going to be in this course. Would you mind doing a load of laundry for me? Which is an insane request to make, right? Mm-hmm. And the neighbor was like, oh, can you tell me more about it? And she told her more about the thing. She goes, oh, that sounds cool. She goes, I actually do my laundry on Sundays too. So no, I'm happy to just throw in another load for you. And the woman's immediate reaction was frustration because that was supposed to be one of the 10 no's, right? And it was like, do you not want me to do your laundry? She's like, no, actually, that would really make a huge difference in my life. Thank you very much. It's very generous. But we forget how many people want to contribute to us, how many people actually love doing something that will impact us, mm-hmm. even if we're not super close to each other. Yeah. So one of the easiest ways to practice this is to go make big requests and be willing to take a yes or a no. Again, if you need one of the answers, or if your relationship is dependent on one of the answers, that's not generosity. Mm-hmm. Right? But you go out and make big requests for things that'll make a difference. A running partner, business advice, just, playing board games on a Saturday, whatever. Go make requests for things that matter and then be willing for people to actually say yes. And when they do, simply say, thank you, and nothing else.
Oh, that's so hard.
It is. Yeah.
Well, is that what they're going to do for their homework?
Yeah. So let's tell them what their homework is. Your homework is to go out and make 5 big requests. These have to be requests for something that will actually make some sort of a difference in your life. They can be, I said big, but they can be big, they can be small, but have them make a difference. Have them be something that actually has you feel nervous when you ask for it. And then be willing to hear yes and just say thank you with no other qualifiers.
And if they want to hear more content like this,
go to www.anexceptionallife.com/newsletter. There you can sign up to hear from us about new videos, about new video series, and sign up for the 24 hours of coaching. Be the first on the list when we give away 24 free coaching slots. As always, your time and your attention are the most valuable thing you can give us, and you have given it to us today. We really appreciate it. Thank you.